Now, we referred to FBI agent Jim Clemente, and he's been on Chris Cuomo quite often. I want to play Jim Clemente. He actually was on my show about a year ago with FBI agent Bobby Chacon. So let me play Jim Clemente's one of the best serial killer profilers in the world. And here he is on Chris Cuomo's show.
So, Jim, I've been doing this so long. I mean, not like you, but I mean, I've been talking to you about it for like almost half my adult life now. And that is not the profile for serial killers in general, but it is the one that they came up with here. And you have understanding of why. Why, Jim, did they come up with that profile that's so similar to this guy here when that's not your typical serial killer profile?
Well, Chris, basically what happened was this offender was able to at least kill these 4 women, or 3 or 4 of these women, and get away with it. I mean, he had almost permanent concealment. They only found skeletonized remains. That means he's fairly criminally sophisticated and probably forensically sophisticated. That gave us the sort of advanced age. He's not going to be in his 20s and be able to pull this off, and 30s would be tough. So we thought mid-30s to mid to late 40s. And then the fact that he kept going back to the same place told us that he's familiar with this place. He knew he wouldn't stand out there. He knew that he's comfortable with the time he'd have to spend alone getting rid of these bodies or concealing them. Also, he used burlap, and we didn't know at the time that it was camouflage burlap, but it's a very strange way to wrap victims. It's unusual, so he probably has a source of that. And maybe now that we know it's camouflage, that maybe he got it from a hunting location. Anyway, the point is that he was smart. He was meticulous in what he did. That would translate to his work environment. So we expected him to be in his 40s with a good job, meticulous in his job, and we expected him to be a sexual sadist. That was borne out when they searched his home and found torture porn. But we knew that he was a sexual sadist because he called up one of the victims and taunted her. So
right.
all
now,
these things
Scott,
leaked out of his own behavior.
That's right. So, but they, at the time, they were all all dust in the wind, right? Because nobody was looking directly at him. And it was like one crumb after another. First, just to get perspective of 3 different guys who've been doing this for multiple decades. Jim, have you ever heard of anything like this with so many different pieces that needed to come together to catch a guy?
Yeah, well, I think it happened in the Golden State Killer case. That took a very many number of years, almost 40 years to resolve, and BTK as well. And both of those situations, you had a married offender who basically used the family as cover. Everybody thought he was legitimate. And I think those cases, they took much longer. I mean, 3 times as long as this case did to resolve.
Hey, thank you for watching.
So
please go to News Nation now.
That was Jim Clemente. And again, when I read the New York Times article that he had been quoted in 2011, he really called, he picked out Rex Schumann pretty well. And, I don't always have a lot of faith in profilers because we've seen them get it really wrong. And one of the cases they got it really wrong was the Beltway sniper.
Yes.
They weren't even close. They predicted the shooter was like a male white in his 30s and all, and it turned out to be a male black 17 with his sort of another male black in his late 30s or 40s. Muhammad and Malvo, that was their names.
Right. That's
and
it.
The older one got the death penalty. I mean, the younger one, the 17-year-old, was the shooter. But the FBI got it so wrong. And also the Unabomber. They didn't get that right either. So sometimes they're right on it. But, I always ask, does a profile of a serial killer, does it ever help catch the guy? Because in this case, it didn't help catch him, did it?
Billy, it's useful. And in a serial killer case, it's very, very useful. However, as you say, it doesn't really, you're not going to really catch someone. It's not like Criminal Minds where they figured out, and then suddenly towards the end of the show, all the little pieces start falling into place and they jump on the Learjet, they go to the location, and they get him as he's about to do something else. No, that's not how it happens. So we don't know. I can't think of one where it actually solved the case before the person killed again. But it's the meticulous work by detectives, forensic people, people from the pathologist's office, homicide investigators, everyone coming together over the long haul. These things take a lot of time, and the serial killer profiling is excellent to study. It's fascinating. It's a fantastic aspect of criminology, studying criminal behavior, but it won't point to a particular person the way a fingerprint would, ballistic examination would, say, of a firearm, a DNA swab, cell phone technology. Those are superior, much more superior, and much more exact.
Absolutely. This is Michael Brown, the attorney for Rex Human. Let's give him a little screen time.
And it's a difficult thing to defend.